Have you ever been in love with someone who made you question your own worth? A woman who made you feel like you were never enough, no matter how much you gave? Maybe in the beginning, she made you feel like the luckiest man alive. Her words were sweet, her promises even sweeter. But over time, something felt off, something that drained you, confused you, and left you doubting yourself. If you've ever experienced this, you're not alone. Today, we're diving deep into the 6 signs of a toxic woman, the ones that many men ignore until it's too late. And if you think these signs don't apply to you, stick around. You might realize something you never noticed before. Before we start, if you value self-growth, relationships, and the wisdom of Stoic philosophy, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like this video, because understanding these signs could save you years of heartache. Now let's get into it. 1. She always played the victim. Have you ever been in a relationship where you seemed to be the go-to guy for every problem? Recall a time when you and her had a fight. Perhaps it was something little, like failing to respond to her SMS in a timely manner or failing to use the precise words she desired. It escalated into a huge brawl in an instant. What about after it's over? You felt compelled to apologize, even though you secretly knew you weren't at fault. Toxic women act in this way. They are incapable of accepting blame, but instead of helping you, they put the blame on you. You may have initially felt you were only being a supportive partner. Relationships, after all, need work, don't they? Maybe you were the one causing all of this trouble, you told yourself. Your effort was more noticeable. You started to be more guarded in your speech and behavior. Was the fighting then averted? Was she still able to manipulate events as a result? No. Reason being, control was always at stake, not the debate itself. Because it gives her power. A toxic woman will constantly put herself in the victim's role. Remember when she injured you last? Perhaps she neglected your demands, flirted with other men, or showed you contempt in front of your friends. At the very second when you confronted her, she turned the tables on you. You're too sensitive. You're overthinking again. You never trust me. All of a sudden, you were the one who had messed up, not her. You began to question your own worth as a result of your concern for her. Lack of self-assurance is the result of this tendency. When you know that venting your emotions would lead you to apologize for something you didn't do, you start to fear doing so. But I must ask, are you truly interested in living a life of constant caution? Realize this if you've been there. A loving lady would never make you feel bad about things that are out of your hands. She is honest and would never try to manipulate others emotionally to get her way. And if you're having trouble getting over this kind of lady, just remember that you were never the issue. Consider this for a second. Have you ever been in a relationship where you felt that your emotions weren't valued? Do you ever find yourself apologizing for the sake of peace, even when you were completely innocent? Let us know in the comments if that's the case. Recognizing you are not insane is the first step toward healing. So let's talk about it. 2. She made false promises, then broke them. Return with me to the first days of your relationship. Can you recall the way she gazed at you? How did she provide you the faith that eternity would endure? How did she express her desire for you to be her exclusive object of desire? She was absolutely spot on. I will never leave you. You are my soulmate. No one has ever made me feel this way. And you actually believed it, which was a first for you. You became careless. She received your soul as a gift. Yet as time progressed, a shift occurred. Words were left behind, but what about deeds? They began to fade. Despite her professed affection for you, she treated you with disdain. The moment you needed her most, she withdrew, despite her assurances that she would be there forever. Her word was that she would never lie to you, yet she did just that. She always had an explanation ready if you tried to approach her, though. She assured you, promised more, and ultimately persuaded you that your concerns were unfounded. She had your trust. Reason being, you secretly hoped their assurances would come true. As if they were a lifeline, you clung to her words. Maybe she needs space to grow and evolve, you persuaded yourself. Could you please inform me whether she did? Or did she fail to deliver on each and every one of her promises? A poisonous woman's remarks are just bait, that much is true. Their purpose is to captivate you. Those assurances were only ploys to keep you in her power. She had no intention of keeping them. When did she finally show her love? She vanished. Perhaps she departed abruptly and failed to provide any reason. She may have cheated. Perhaps she started behaving as if you were unimportant to her. Plus, you found yourself perplexed. What did I do wrong? Listen, I have something to tell you. You were completely innocent. You were never the issue. The issue was that she consistently acted differently from the character she portrayed. On the other hand, if you're having trouble letting go and those memories keep popping into your head, would a woman who truly loved me have broken me like this? The past has to be stopped being romanticized. What she loved was what you offered her, not you. The faster you come to terms with that, the faster you will recover. Please share your story in the comments section. If you have ever been the victim of deceit or clung to promises that were never kept, tell me the greatest fib she ever made up to you. When you express your grief, you diminish its impact, so let's have a conversation about it. 3. Sweet in public, poison in private. Just tell me, have you ever been in a seemingly ideal relationship? The public beheld your union and said, wow, he's lucky to have her. She flashed you a public grin, took your hand, and spoke about you online. Only when she thought other people were looking could she make you feel special. However, in private, a new reality has emerged. Chilled and emotionally detached, she was unapproachable. On many occasions, she would disregard your communications for long periods of time, only to act normally when her friends were present. Why does she treat me like a king in public but like a stranger in private? You wondered, your mind racing. I mean, come on, that isn't love. It's a performance. The world's perception of her is the only thing that matters to this kind of lady. When the cameras aren't rolling and no one is watching, her facade of being the ideal girlfriend starts to crumble. To improve her own reputation, she used your affection. And it is painful, isn't it? Her affection seemed genuine to you. You thought she was happy to be in your company, but you couldn't help but notice that her words and deeds were always at odds with one another. I have a question for you. How often did you feel lonely in that relationship, even if she was physically there? The point of toxic love is to make you feel lost in the lows and addicted to the highs. Someday, she'll shower you with attention and make you feel like the center of her universe. The next day, she acts aloof and icy as if you don't exist. Worst of all, she never explained why, and perhaps you even managed to convince yourself that it was your fault. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I'm not giving her enough attention. Maybe she's just having a bad day. No. The fact is that the lady you loved had several personalities. Finally, the most challenging aspect? Release yourself from the idealized picture of her that the world saw, the one who promised to fulfill all your desires. Listen, I have something to tell you. What about that persona? Truly, that never happened. Any woman who loves you deeply will be good to you without expecting anything in return. Her generosity will be constant, sincere, and unwavering. Have you ever been in a relationship with someone who only showed affection when others were looking? If this sounds similar, please share your experience in the comments. How about we discuss it? 4. She saw your love as an opportunity. Keep it real. Was there ever a time when she told you that you were perfect the way you were? Or was it her constant need for more? The reason being that a poisonous woman isn't romantically interested in you, but rather in what she may gain from you. Consider the first few days of your relationship. You were treated like royalty by her. She cherished the thoughtfulness, charity, and care you showed her. She had a way of making you feel like she lived for you. However, you become aware of something over time. It felt like she was only pleased when you gave her something. Perhaps it was financial. It might have been your moment. Perhaps your moral support played a role. Perhaps it was only the status of being in your presence. However, her attitude shifted the second you ceased providing. Distancing herself, she became icy. She slowed down on her SMS response speed. She began to fabricate reasons as to why she failed to notice you. You felt an overwhelming need to establish your value all of a sudden. For the affection she had for you at the beginning, how many times did you go out of your way to make her happy? It was never enough, though. For her, love was always about dominance and never about building connections. And the harsh reality is, if a lady loves you, she will never see you as just another commodity. You won't be used, but she will cherish you. Woman who is toxic? They plunder relentlessly until there is nothing remaining. And when they've used you up, once they've gotten their fill of praise, they'll go on to the next thing that will pay them. And the question remains, did she ever actually love me? What I want you to know is that you were never merely a choice. Being a provider was never your exclusive role. You are a valuable guy, and a woman who loves you will love you unconditionally, regardless of your abilities. Okay then, how about this? Have you ever felt taken advantage of by your partner? When you donated anything, Did you ever feel that it wasn't enough? Leave a comment with your tale. Realizing you deserve more is the initial step towards moving on. 5. She used your weaknesses against you. May I inquire of you something? Did you ever feel comfortable enough to confide in her about your worst fears, concerns about yourself, the pain of your previous broken hearts? Perhaps she gave you a sense of understanding at first. She wanted to know all about your upbringing, your hardships, and what you used to worry about. You could trust her implicitly because of how attentively she listened. You relaxed your defenses for the very first time. You informed her about those that caused you pain. The aspirations you were hesitant to pursue, these are the things you kept to yourself. But then a shift occurred. Your own words become weapons in her hands. It may have been during a dispute. After you vented your emotions, she proceeded to play on your worst fears instead of listening. You always do this, that's why your ex left you. You're too emotional, no wonder you have trust issues. You're weak just like you said you were. Worst of all, because you indicated to her where it would hurt. She hit you precisely where it hurt the most. Toxic women act in that way. After she wins your trust, she uses your own truth to break you. What is truly cruel, though? At first she enabled you to feel comfortable enough to reveal your true self. You were urged to open up by her. She convinced you that she cherished every aspect of you, flaws and all. Yet ultimately all she did was gather ammo. Consider your most recent altercation with her. Was her attack on you the kind that only someone who knew you well could have imagined? Was anything revealed that no one else would have known? It is not love, ouch! That's just plain combative. Plus, if you're having trouble letting go and thinking, how could she say those things to me? Here's what I've learned. Why? Because she was never concerned about what was best for your soul. To her, control was everything. A loving lady would never turn your suffering into an excuse to hurt you. Your secrets are safe with her. She won't use them against you. So I must inquire, have you ever confided in a lady, only to have her turn the tables on you later? Leave a comment and tell me. How about we discuss it? 6. She told you to change, then left anyway. Can you recall the initial impression she left on you? You were informed that she loved you unconditionally. You were praised by her as the ideal partner. You felt like you were enough because of her. However, a change occurred thereafter. She began criticizing you for shortcomings you were unaware. You possessed all of a sudden. You should dress better. You should be more confident. Why don't you act more like him? She seemed like she was genuinely trying to help you out at first. You began to alter your personality in an effort to impress her with the finest version of yourself. Perhaps your demeanor, manner of clothing, and treatment of others underwent some changes. At least initially it was effective. Her mood had improved. She sang your praises. You finally felt good enough after being with her. Except after that, she departed, without prior notice and explanation. Plus you found yourself perplexed. No matter what she requested, I did it all. Thus, why was I insufficient? Brother, I'll tell you the truth. She never intended for you to improve. Your freedom was her goal. If a woman is poisonous, she will convince you that you must work for her affection. She'll try to persuade you that fixing just one more item will make her stay. However, staying was never in her plans, because she would always find fault with you, regardless of how much you changed. Since the core problem, you were never the one. My question is this. Have you ever thought that no matter how much effort you put in, you just weren't good enough for someone? When you tried to hold on to someone who was never intended to be yours? Did you ever run out of steam? Leave a remark down below. How about we discuss it? The kind of love that lasts does not need changing who you are. When love truly sees you, accepts you, and remains, it is eternal. Final thoughts. Just so you know, it wasn't your fault if any of it sounds familiar. A toxic woman's life goal is to cast doubt on the character of a decent man. They put you in your place so that they can feel important. They avoid accountability by making you feel guilty. That said, you are under no obligation to continue. Accepting reality is the starting point for liberation. Please tell me in the comments if this video clarified anything for you, and if you're really committed to personal development, honoring yourself and strengthening your attitude, then you should subscribe to the channel. We're only at the beginning. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.